Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Okay, good morning, councillors, and apologies for running a little late this morning. Had some media hold-ups there, but I'd like to open the meeting and move straight into acknowledgement of country. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land, the Turrumbal people, and pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging. I extend that respect to the neighbouring Aboriginal peoples within our local government area, the Gangaloo Nation people, the Barada, Kabbulbara and Yetamarala people, and also acknowledge the Torres Strait Islander people whose land is in the Torres Straits but who live and work on Aboriginal land. Present, we have apologies, leave of absence for Councillor Neil Fisher, and moving on to a leave of absence from Councillor Rutherford be granted from Tuesday the 11th to the 18th of May inclusive. Speaker mover Councillor Wickerson, seconded Councillor Kirkland. I'll put that. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Confirmation of the previous minutes, councillors. Move Councillor Smith to have a seconder. Councillor Latcham. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Declarations of interest in matters on the agenda, councillors. We have a number of declarations that's already there. From Councillor Grant Mathers.
Probably best Mayor, if you could actually disclose them publicly that they do have a declaration of interest.
Yep. So
certainly,
Mr.
Mayor, councillors. I have a declarable conflict of interest in item 14.1, property matter, as my cousin Sandra Borg and her husband Ian Borg own a property in the vicinity of the land identified for the Matter Sports precinct. Also, my father Ken Mathers, a former rider, has a historical link to Speedway, and my uncle Winston Mathers is still involved in the sport locally. Also, my sons Trent and Kai Mathers, my sister Councillor Cherie Rutherford and brother-in-law Michael Rutherford and myself volunteered during Speedway events. I propose to leave and stay away from the place where the meeting is being held while this matter is discussed and voted on.
Thank you, Councillor. Further council conflict is Councillor Smith.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. I have a declarable conflict of interest in item 14.1, which is a property matter. This declarable interest arises because I'm related to Gerard Halberstadter, who owns an adjoining property of the land which is identified in this report. I propose to leave and stay away from the place where the meeting is being held while this matter is discussed and voted on.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Shane Latcham.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I have a declarable conflict of interest in Council Agenda Item 9.1, Community Assistance Program 2021, Round 3 applications. This declarable conflict of interest arises because I'm a trustee for a family trust that owns a tennis complex in North Rockhampton. I propose to leave and stay away from the place where the meeting is being held while the topic of Rockhampton Tennis Association is discussed and voted on.
Thank you. Councillor, that's all the declarations we have. Oh, Councillor Smith.
Mayor, I have a conflict of interest in 9.1 as well, Rockhampton Tennis Association, as my nephew, Rhett McKinnon, is employed by Tennis Queensland, who has an association with the Rockhampton Tennis Association.
Okay, we'll note that, councillors, when we reach item 9.1, Community Assistance Program Round 3 applications. Okay, thank you. Public forums and deputations nil. Presentations of petitions nil. Councillor Delegate reports item 8.1, Councillor Discretionary Application Fund, Councillor Neil Fisher, Hindu Temple of Central Queensland, a donation approved allocation of $1,200 in Councillor Fisher's discretionary fund towards the purchase of installation of irrigation system for the Hindu Temple, Central Queensland. We have a mover and a seconder for that, Councillor Latcham, seconded Councillor Mathers. I'll put those in favour. Those opposed? Carried. Officers' reports. Nil from Advanced Rocky Airport, nil. Communities and Heritage, 9.1. Community Assistance Program, 2021. Round 3 applications. Councillor Smith, we'll exclude the tennis one and we'll leave that till the end. We'll work through the others. Thanks very much, Alicia.
Good morning, Mayor and councillors. This is the round 3 of the Community Assistance Program. So just a note for councillors that we have had some discussions about reviewing the process of these community assistance grants. So just to note that that process is still is in train. It's actually one of the orange lights in the operational plan update report, which is sort of later in the agenda. So we have continued to assess these grants in the same manner as what we've done previously. There are a number of schemes here, some are around event related, some are for upgrades, and some are also for the insurance grant as well, I believe. So I've got Carrie online that is happy to take any specific questions that I cannot answer, but otherwise they go through an assessment panel and have a look at the details, and those recommendation amounts for those organisations are there.
Thanks, Alicia. Councillors, do we have questions? Councillor Smith?
No, mate, Mr Mayor, just a comment. With the Scripture Union Power Kids 2021, I think that it would be for the hire of the hall at Gracemere. That's a wonderful program that's been running for several years, where children have 2-3 days of activities. Absolutely wonderful thing, and it's great that they can have it again this year, because obviously last year they were unable to hold it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Latcham?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just a comment also. It's great to see some great community not-for-profits here getting assistance from the council. It's great to see. One thing I do look forward to is the workshop where we do review, and I'd like to see more of a hand up rather than a hand out for a lot of these organisations. I think we can do a lot in that space.
Yes, Councillor, I think that's part of that workshop that we continue. It's part of the operational plan, and something there that we're yet to address, but it's something that we've worked on. We realise there is an issue there, and something that we need to refine or look at the way we do this. And I understand that, so point taken. Councillors, is there any further questions with regards to this one? We might seek a mover and a seconder with regards to that, excluding the Tennis Association item. Move Councillor Wickerson, seconded Councillor Mathers. I'll put that. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Now, Councillor, we might... it was a unanimous decision. And we'll ask the councillors with the conflict to leave the room. Okay, councillors, the the item, the Rockhampton Tennis Association, the country teams doubles championship, allocation of $3,000 towards that event. And we ask if there's any questions with regards to that. If not, seek a mover and a seconder. Move Councillor Kirkland, seconded Councillor Mathers. I'll put that. Those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And we'll invite the other councillors back in. Thanks, Alicia.
Back up. No time to even eat.
Councillors, moving on to item 9.2, the Rockhampton Museum of Art Philanthropy Board member recommendation. We have John.
Through the Chair, good morning, everybody. Here we've got the Rockhampton Museum of Art Philanthropy Board recommends to Rockhampton Regional Council the appointment of a new Rockhampton Museum of Art Philanthropy Board member. As background, we've had a resignation from Ms Susie Blair on the 14th of March as the Gallery Board had already recently gone through a search for new members to the board. They've gone through the applicants. They've recommended that Council accept the recommendation of the Rockhampton Museum of Art Philanthropy Board and appoint Dr Christine Campbell for a term in accordance with the Rockhampton Museum of Art Philanthropy Board terms of reference.
Thanks very much, John. Councillors, any questions with regards to that one? If not, can I seek a mover and a seconder with regards to that recommendation? Move Councillor Wickerson, seconded Councillor Mathers. Put that. Those in favour? Against? Again, carried unanimously. Thanks, councillors. Moving on, waste and recycling. Item 9.3. Councillor Latcham, would you have any comment? Oh, Andrew? Michael? Sorry, I'm with it. Getting with it. Yeah.
Morning, Mr. Councillors. So this one's probably been a long time coming. Back in 2018, a number of changes were made to the Environmental Protection Regulation under the state government. And a number of provisions from that regulation moved as part of that whole process. Council was required to update or amend their local law rate, waste management, to include provisions. So at the time, local law number 8 was adopted by council back in December 2018, but for whatever reason, provision around the
Just the microphone. Sorry, Michael. Might start again if that's okay for people online. Is that?
Okay, yeah, sorry,
Thank you.
apologies for that. So yeah, I'm just saying this has been a long time coming. Back in 2018, the Environmental Protection Regulation under the state government was amended to remove a number of provisions regarding the management of waste, and it was expectation at the time that those provisions would be included within local law number 8. In 2018, council adopted local law number 8, but however at that time, for some reason or another, the designation of the waste collection area and the definitions around that were excluded from that adoption. So this is just trying to tidy up a bit of an administrative process around that. So there's a number of recommendations. I won't go through them all, but again, it's really around defining the local government area as the region. So the designated waste collection area is the region, and then the waste collection areas are areas within the designated waste collection area where domestic and commercial waste and recycling collection services are provided. Areas are as marked on the designated waste collection area maps and are subject to change by council as a result of future land development and planning requirements. So there's also some additional recommendations there, again coming from the regulation over into the local law around definition of recyclable waste, definition of standard general waste containers, definition of industrial waste containers. So it's a number of just administrative matters there to tidy this one up, Council.
Okay, thanks very much, Michael. And apologies, Councillor Wickerson, I should have recognised you as the portfolio spokesperson for the previous item. I didn't
That's fine.
change it through my agendas there. But again, probably with the chair, did the chair of the waste want to make any comment with regards
Thanks,
to
Mr Mayor. Yes, as Michael has rightfully said, long time coming, and it'll be good to tidy this up.
Yep, okay. Councillor Wickerson, question?
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. Just through you to Michael. With the definition of what's recyclable waste, can that be revised at any time? Because I know we're looking at polystyrene too, or does that come under plastics? And things like, you know, solar panels, if ever we have to we'll get to a stage where we can recycle those, we can just amend that definition at any stage?
Through the Chair, that definition is related to the curbside recycling service, not recycling in general.
Okay.
And yes, it can be changed. And actually, as a matter of fact, next Tuesday at our RRWR workshop, we're going to talk to Council about the composition of that yellow lidded bin and what it may look like, or what we may want it to look like in the future, with some of the changes happening around, you know, banning single-use plastics and packaging covenant changes at the federal and state level as well. So
yeah.
It can change, and I would suggest it will likely change.
Yeah. Okay, no, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks very much, Michael. Councillor Kirkland?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Michael, could I just ask around this policy whether the mapping and that sort of thing is including, like, it's specific to people who will be conducting recycling services and where they're allowed to be? That's my understanding of it, is that correct?
So we have, the whole region, Rockhampton Regional Council, the whole region is the designated, I'll just get the term right, the designated waste collection area. And then within that region, or within that area, we have then areas where we will and we will not provide services. So what this allows us to do, that if there's, so we've got a series of maps which capture those properties that are rated for and those properties that we therefore service with the curbside waste and recycling service. Outside of those map boundaries, we have a process where we can, if a resident says, look, I'm outside of your collection area but I'd like a service, can you please provide it? We have a criteria under our procedure which we assess that request, and then on a merits basis we either accept it or we don't accept it. If that property is accepted, then we include that property alone within our mapping system to capture it for forever and a day as having a service. So we do a geocortex through our IT GIS team, and we capture that property, and then that's included.
Thank you, Michael. So it's specific to our particular operations within that field of recycling, not to other businesses that would be conducting. Okay, thank you.
Right, thanks, councillors. Good questions. I see there's no further questions. I'll seek a mover. Councillor Letcham. Seek a seconder. Councillor Smith. Put that. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thanks, Michael. Moving on to 9.4, Community Assistance Program, Environment and Sustainability Scheme, April 2021, Community Initiatives. We've got Christine online. Christine, would you like to present that report, please?
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor and councillors. Look, this report tables the latest round of community-based initiatives submitted for Council's Environment and Sustainability Scheme. The report recommends that Council provide funding and support for a total of 7 community-led initiatives valued at around $13,800.
Thanks very much. Councillor Kirkland, as the portfolio spokesperson, would you like to speak to this?
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm very excited to see the variety that we have in applications this time round, and certainly, and also complementing the schools. I see we've got a new school that's come on board with an application there, so it just goes to show that the purpose of these grants and that sort of thing, especially within the environment portfolio, is to bring that form of education to the community and to work alongside of the community to bring an uptake in all things that are environmental sustainability and in line with, of course, our strategy. So it's really good to see certainly the mountain bike club there doing things, as well as the that Quokka there doing something with their tool replacement. I was thrilled. So I am happy to move this, that all of those be accepted and those grants go through. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thanks very much, Councillor. Again, it's great to see that not only the schools but the Mountain Bike Club and the Aboriginal Corporation with the cultural activities really touching all the bases with regards to those environmental initiatives. So, fantastic initiative. Move Councillor Kirkland, second Councillor Wickerson. I'll put those in favour. That's carried. Thanks very much, councillors. Moving on to budget and governance. And other matters, item 9.5, the Assistant Portfolio Councillor appointment. I think that's pretty straightforward. Councillors, Councillor Wickerson be appointed as Sports and Public Spaces Assistant Portfolio Chair. I'm happy to move. Seek a seconder. Seconded Councillor Smith. I put those in favour. I moved. Councillor Smith, sorry, a bit quick there. And that was unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to item 9.6, the interim management report for the Rockhampton Regional Council 2021. Money is online. No, that's okay. Thanks very much, Marnie. Good morning.
Thank you. Sorry. Okay, so good morning, Mayor and Councillors. So this morning I'm just presenting the interim management report from audit, from our interim audit that was conducted in March up to the 31st of March. The management letter hasn't identified any significant deficiencies in Council's internal controls, and we seem to be proceeding quite well under what our audit plan, our external audit plan, has been set at the beginning of the year. So there's no real concerns that Thomas, Noble and Russell, as the delegate of the Auditor General, have identified in terms of what we're working on currently and what our processes are. There are a couple of deficiencies that have been identified in the report. However, you will note that they are ready to be addressed, either or have been addressed or will be addressed by the 30th of June. So yes, everything is going quite well. Probably the only thing that I would highlight is that we have some probably issues in relation to our asset capitalisation processes, which have been highlighted in the report, and we're working with the auditors on that currently to try and resolve some of those issues before the 30th of June.
Thanks very much, Marnie. I understand it's a moving feast, and with those asset management plans coming online now, that streamlines the organisation to be able to make sure we as those audit reports are undertaken, that we're achieving those goals and milestones. So something there we need to watch, but as part of the requirement, this report needs to be presented to the table, and that's where it's at. So, councillors, I'm happy to move as recommended, and seek a seconder, subject to any questions. Second, Councillor Kirkland. I'll put those in favour. Against? Carried. Thanks very much, Marnie.
Thank you.
Item 9.7, the 2021 Operational Plan Quarterly Report, Quarter 3, and minor amendments to the 2021 Operational Plan. Thanks, Alyssa.
Good morning, Mr Mayor and councillors. The report this morning is in two parts, so I'll start by jumping to the bottom because I think that's probably the easiest part of the report before we do our progress report and throw to each of our relevant general managers and executive managers. So the second part of the report before you is some minor amendments to our existing operational plan. And essentially what's been included is the changes previously approved by Council to reflect the updates to the councillor portfolios. So if you're looking at your agenda on page 111, we've updated the table there, and following this meeting, further to our Deputy CEO's report, we will also include Councillor Wickerson in that new assistant role. So as well as that table, throughout the actual operational plan, against each of the relevant actions and targets where it relates to each portfolio, we've updated the names in accordance with those changes that were made as well. So that's all quite minor and really just attached for your convenience as it's previously been already adopted. So second part of the report then is our Q3 operational plan quarterly report. So you will all be familiar with this report now and the layout. Essentially, it is a summary of our progress in relation to our operational plan and how we're performing against our actions to date, as well as setting out those performance plans for each of our 3 business units. The current report template is as at 31 March, so those new portfolio names won't be updated in today's report. They will be in next quarter's, Q4, because those changes weren't made at that point. And also it's just worth noting that the actions, so this is on page 79 of the agenda, actions 1.19, 1.10 and 1.11 relating to our water treatment plants. The responsible area relating to those in our next report will move from Fitzroy River Water to project delivery. So that will all be coming through in the Q4 report that you will see next quarter. So running through now our progress report, we'll use the same format as previously used, and I'll call upon each of the relevant executive managers and general managers to provide an overview of relevant highlights and lowlights within their areas. So first we have the executive manager of Advance Rockhampton, Greg. I believe he is on WebEx.
Yes, Greg, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor and councillors. I'll try and be brief, but you know that's very difficult for me, but I hope you can all hear me okay. So probably from an industry development point of view, very much an increased industry and stakeholder engagement quarter for us. Some 14 industry events held in that time, some very broad, just with the business community trying to get them engaged in what we're doing at Council and at Advance Rockhampton, some more specific in the likes of a property event and a renewable energy event, another one with the regional precinct activation survey, which went very well with a live survey at the event last week, or the week before last, sorry. From a mining construction point of view, continue to engage with the Rookwood construction teams, the Vitronite Coal, Q Coal, ASMTI contractors. For a renewable energy point of view, engaged with about 9 companies in this quarter, be it Goldwind up at Clark Creek, Neon, Epuron, CQ Power, Genex. From the agriculture and water, a real target for us is working with a new agricultural company, trying to get them to get a CQ base up here. So we'll continue to fight that good fight, and hopefully we'll achieve that, finding them the right premises very soon. From a development point of view, lots written about 2 key CBD sites in the Loft, which has commenced and launched, and the Gallery 2, which has launched and is selling well. Probably other industry things, e-scooters, we all know that presentation that the EOI has now closed, so we'll be progressing with that in due course. The Regions Rising Summit I have spoke about in the past, but if anyone wants to know any more about that, please ask. Tourism and industry marketing, we launched the Audio Tours app. We've got billboards all around the state, whether they be for tourism and marketing point of view or industry marketing. Also the new tourism video that has been nominated for a Queensland Tourism Award, and those awards will be held in a couple of weeks' time. From events point of view, well, we're all pretty aware of the larger events, but with Australia Day and Anzac Day, both went off very well in my eyes anyway. Rocky Nats, we've got Summer Nats team in town today and yesterday. We'll have the final report for that sometime over the next week, hopefully. And beef, from the AR and council team, the city looked great. drop of rain helped that, but also the teams, whether they be Parks and Gardens, the activations that my team sort of put around the town were great. The tours from the tourism team went very well. And then the trade stand out there was well frequented out at Beef. So probably enough from me, Mayor and councillors, unless you've got some questions.
Councillor, just probably a comment. Greg, I think Rockhampton certainly is on everyone's radar across the nation after Beef, and credit to the team. And we're getting some fantastic emails coming through about how magnificent the town looked in the presentation for Beef, and credit to all the staff involved in undertaking that to put our town on in the spotlight during Beef was really something everyone needs a pat on the back, and I've asked the CEO to make sure that memo from those comments are passed out to everyone in the organisation about how well they've done, and a great pat on the back for that effort. But a lot of work happening in economic development, and I'm sure there'll be some great connections and networks that were made over those weeks during those events, and more people interested in our region going forward. So looking forward to very promising times as we start to develop, and more development occurring across our region. So I think it's a busy time for everyone, and it's great to see that we're all pushing in the same direction. Well done.
Yeah, that's for sure. And Mayor, if I could make a comment, if you're talking about Beef Week, you've made it when you make Have You Been Paying Attention, the show that's on Monday nights. Beef Week and Rockhampton got about 10 mentions last night, so some in a very funny way, but in general, Rockhampton and Beef certainly starred on Have You Been Paying Attention.
I missed that one, Greg. I was asleep. I was worn out from Beef. But,
I understand.
That's great to hear, mate. And that's something there that again everyone needs to take credit for, and that is putting Rockhampton and the CQ on the national radar. And I'm sure the other regions all benefited from Beef as well. And it's great to see that we can put our region on the map, so to speak. That said, councillors, any questions with regards to Greg's presentation? We might move on. Thanks, Alyssa.
Thank you. So next we have our Deputy CEO to talk about corporate services.
And this is not to say any of the other departments are important, Ross, but that's a pretty high benchmark we need to move on from. But
it's a hard act to follow.
That's it, mate. No worries. Thanks very much, Ross.
All the stuff Greg said we supported and helped with that. So that's about it.
It's a good starting point, mate. Yeah, thank you.
So, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And look, there's a couple of things through the last quarter. In our customer service area, we've handled over 28,000 inquiries by the phone, counter and online, and done 691 rate searches in that quarter alone, which has been a pretty big uptake. We have been struggled a little bit to meet some of our KPIs with the answering phone. With that, we did take some resources out earlier in the year, and we've also had an influx of inquiries. We actually had a lot of inquiries through the Rocky Nats and the Mount Morgan water supply too, which was good. So I'd say we're still working on that, so we will improve. The Angus and World and Strategy and Planning, you will see in that report several red dots there, but they've been undertaking a mountain of work. Those items that haven't been completed, there's certainly significant progress towards. One of them there is our report today in confidential session, so that will close that one off. So there is still a mountain of work there. The budget, you're all well and truly across how that has been progressing, so I won't spend any time on that one. And the other area we have had in our some notable things in our corporate technology, particularly our procurement. We're meeting 90% of our suppliers are being paid on time, which we do a 7-day payment. We're a bit shorter there, so we're actually meeting 90% to get people paid, so that's good. We have 100 of our 100 top suppliers, we've got 92% on purchasing agreements, so we continue. That's one of our key indicators as well to get our best bang for buck. And we're also processing all our correspondence. Target is 95% to process on time, and we're at 100% of that, meeting the times to meet that. Mr. Mayor, I won't go into airport. I'll let Marcus do that when he gets to his. But that's a quick overall, quick take on how our progress for the quarter, but happy to take any questions.
Okay, thanks very much, Ross. Questions, councillors? Councillor Smith?
Just mainly a comment, Mr Mayor. I'm not sure how we get purchasers or prospective purchasers of properties to do extra searches. I think the normal rate search doesn't reveal a lot of things. I've just had one instance in Gracemere where the block of land was actually in a flood zone and they had to get an MCU and build the land up when the builder had already given a quote. So I'm not sure how we encourage people to do those extra searches. I know it's always buyer beware, do your own homework, but young people especially get caught. They don't know, they think that the solicitor has done all the searches when they've only done the basic searches.
And it may be something, as an example, we could do some media on just to, again, push that message out there to make sure that they do those searches to highlight with those overlays. And as time changes, there's always further overlays and things that could be occurring. So it's probably prudent that we look at doing some media there just to remind people purchasing properties to make sure they do the due diligence and make sure that they check all those, have all those searches undertaken before they sign the cheque. That's a good point. Thanks very much, Ross. No other questions to Ross' area? No, thanks very much, Ross. I know the work that Angus and the team are doing in the background too is a lot of positive work and really pushing, moving our region forward. Thanks, Ross. Thanks, Alyssa.
Thank you. Next is our General Manager of Community Services.
Thanks, Alyssa.
Thanks very much, Alicia.
Councillors, I was pleased in terms of the Homeless Connect event. Because of COVID last year, we certainly couldn't have it, but especially now, given that the shortage of homes in Rockhampton or vacant properties, we managed to sort of reshape that event and still deliver it through COVID. And so what we ended up doing is distributing food vouchers and, I guess, hygiene baskets, if you like, through the Hands of Compassion food banks. So we've managed to get 200 vouchers out there, and that has we've had some really great feedback on that front. In Doug's world, we are absolutely under the pump in terms of the increase in the residential development activity. We've seen that more depletion of all the available blocks that are out there for sale, that they've been snapped up. So we're also getting that flow on to the development application increase as well. So it's a great pickup, great to see, but also hearing around some of the delays in building certification, not just at our end, but on the private certifier front. So similarly, some of those KPIs, just like that Ross mentioned with the increase in activity, our team is also under quite a lot of pressure with the increased volume. On the Botanic Gardens front, really pleasing to see the number of workshops that we've had and the development or the redevelopment project progressing well. We're going to have another workshop this month on that to bring back some of the outcomes. So it's very exciting to have that project happening, and we'll sort of start to see the fruits of the labour there. The meerkat encounters have been hugely successful, and they've kicked off in this quarter. So again, the number of Facebook pop-ups and things like that you see of people enjoying that, it's a great tourism product for Rockhampton. Also in the Flying Foxes, we have commenced in the gardens, we've commenced the removal, or moving on, I should say, of the Flying Foxes. It's so far hasn't been as quick as what we would have hoped. So at this point in time, we're sort of just waiting, giving them a bit of a break, and then we'll restart after the break. The other thing that's going on in parks is that we've got a quite I guess, intensive internal project, and that is about realising, or reviewing some of the processes and structures around in the parks area. So the yield, or the whole goal of that, is to basically make men and women more efficient in terms of the mowing. So eliminate a lot of those overheads, and so that we can get more time out there mowing. So that sort of is coming what we've done is pull resources from other areas of council and put it into there. So starting to see the benefits of that as well. There's been some really good positive comments that have come out of there. So I think that it's also making some cultural improvements in that space, which is great. In John's World, we've successfully delivered the Heritage Village consultation, and now we're working on the reopening of the village. And we've also had a hugely successful Mamma Mia delivery at the Pilbara Theatre, which again got lots of lovely comments. Ross has already mentioned that there's a number of red dots, I suppose, in the planning space. They're around the 1.2 numbers in the operational plan report. But I guess from our perspective, we rely upon Angus to do that. And what we have seen is just leaps and bounds improvements in terms of our planning undertaken. The red dots really relate to the time frame, not the effort that has gone into those things. So thanks to him. And similarly with the community assistance review, which I mentioned earlier in the day, is that Anne is helping me out in that space, so that will come through. It's just we haven't met those timelines that are in the report. And that's it from me.
Thanks very much, Alicia. Look, again, that department, that section, fantastic work to John, Aaron and Angus and all that support that's coming through from the background. The comments and how and being able to get out to Beef, where there was over 115,000 people through the gates, hit a record. Just hearing how wonderful the city looks from the riverbank to the Botanic Gardens to Mount Archer. So many comments were just how beautiful Rockhampton really is now and how modern it's starting to look. So those comments were repeated throughout the day, but the parks and gardens and the work that the team have been doing there and yourself as the director, credit to everyone there in that space. But we realise there's a lot of pressure on the planners at the moment, especially with the development and what's occurring, which is a great thing. But it puts pressure on the department whether we can supply that demand at the moment. So again, the CEO's made knowledge of that, and I think it's something there we can work to try and take the pressure off there. But it's a great thing to have, but a bad thing as well if we can't achieve what we're trying to do with those milestones. But understood, but a credit to everyone in the department. I'm sure everyone's working as hard as diligently as they possibly can. And,
I should have mentioned and made mention of the Parks group and how they have worked so hard to get everything up to scratch. It doesn't finish now just with Beef. Of course, we've got the Rocky River Run show and it rolls. But
and understand we had that rain that was there and pushed it a little bit harder to put us behind the schedules. But it's great to see that everything was all spruced up for Beef, and it's great to see the city looking the way it is.
Yeah, thank you.
Or the region. Thanks, Alyssa.
Thank you. Next is our General Manager for Regional Services, Peter.
Where the rubber hits the road, Peter.
Good morning, Mayor and Councillors. Okay.
Thanks, Peter.
I'll talk generally about overall the capital program. We look like we're going to achieve around $100 million of expenditure in the regional services area, out of the 130 across council. So it's probably going to be a bit of a record spend, I think, this year. Fortunately, we haven't been impacted very much by COVID, and that was a real risk in supply, but there's been the odd item in some projects, but it hasn't delayed any projects, so we've been very lucky there. Okay.
That's fantastic. $100 million in capital works. That's a record there, and something there that the team needs to be.
Okay. The first major project I want to talk about is the Rockhampton Airport feasibility study for the levy. The project in this current quarterly report talks about December 21. It won't be completed until February, March, and you'll notice that in the budget process that we've actually moved some money to next year. There's two reasons. One is there were some existing resource problems with the consultancy, and the second thing is we've added another option that we think we needed to explore while we were there. So the project is going well, and we're still hopeful of a good outcome at the end of that project. Project number 2 is Rockhampton Museum of Art. Project is on track to be handed over from the contractor to council 1st of July, and from that point on they'll start the commissioning and the fitting out of the entire artwork, which will take some time. There's been some challenges in that project which are really about some original supply of faulty materials, which has delayed the project and used up a lot of our float, but we have still been able to keep it within that 1 July. And for anyone who's seen it, it's starting to look quite impressive inside. There will be another, we are planning to give you another look at it just before opening, but we've been in a period where we're testing the building for effectively pressure testing, and that pressure testing has taken a while to pass effectively. So what we do is we pressurise the building and look how many leaks there is, and there's a set standard. Unfortunately, initially it was leaking a little bit too much, but we've been able to rectify that, and it's been all approved and passed. And so now what that enables us to do is actually do the final painting and gyprock work. So that's where the arc area is. The next two projects I want to talk about are, or three, are relating to FRW. The Glenmore Water Treatment Plant is underway. We've issued the contract. It's in the design phase. So that design phase will continue for the next few months before physical works on site starts. North Rockhampton Sewage Treatment Plant is also in the design review stage. So there's a design completed, a concept type design that is under review, and we are looking to be able to go out to tender around the end of June. Gracemere Sewage Treatment Plant is just lagging behind that, so as soon as we've sorted North Rockhampton, we will start the same process, which is a design process and then tender shortly following. Airport. The airport is on schedule to be completed on the 30th of September. We recently finished the works for Queensland component, which is actually the upstairs section of the airport. We are just negotiating with the state government. They want to do a meteoric launch, but we've got a complication in terms of that the upper is funded by state and the lower is funded federally. So we're trying to work out how we do that without creating more wars, as you might know. Okay, so we'll work our way through that. The final total being, as I said, 30th September, and they're just now starting the roof replacement, which is the final piece. Okay, and the only other thing I want to draw your attention to, which is the individual actions. There's two I want to draw your attention to. The first red dot is the floodplain risk management plan for Frenchmans and Tazards Creek. If you recall, that project effectively, through a change in budget, has been unfunded this year. So it'll remain red. No work will be done on it. And we will see how we go in this current budget process. We're hoping to have the funding. It's sitting there at the moment to undertake that study in the next year. Okay?
Yep.
And I think that's all for me. Oh, one last, that's it. I need one more. There will be a report coming to council in the next month on bushfire risk. We've done a lot of work on reviewing bushfire risk across this region, and we will be tabling a bushfire management strategy, which is very much targeting Mount Archer, Mount Morgan, those hotspots, and a series of actions and requirements for council and other agencies. So that is going to the local, it's been to the LDMG and discussed. It will now come to council for endorsement of that strategy. So there was a lot of work over the last 9 months on that. It's been a big effort, okay? And that's it for me.
Okay, thanks very much, Peter. Again, a lot of work in that space, and it's great to hear. When you look at that report, we see a lot of red dots, but when you hear the reasons behind that and they're explained in detail, you understand that those pressures are coming from all different angles to push those timelines. But a lot of them would be nearing completion or changing their rating on that score. So it's great work hearing about the Museum of Art and what's involved in that. And also the airport, again, $100 million worth of capital projects for a year, record delivery. You can understand why some of those red dots are popping up. So that said, under COVID conditions and what's happening in the region, it's also very important that we understand that looking at this report. So again, Peter, if you can pass on thanks to the team on every level. I'm sure everyone's working as the best they possibly can and to achieving those targets as we go through in the operational plan. Councillors, any questions to Peter's report at all? If not, thanks very much, Peter. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we will move on to our quarterly progress reports in relation to the annual performance plans for our commercial business units. So first off is our manager for Fitzroy River Water.
Good morning, Mayor and councillors and media.
Thank you.
Look, I won't talk for too long. Hopefully you've all had a chance to read the operational plan report. I will just touch quickly on page 6 of the report itself. You all know the situation in Mount Morgan. Happy to provide a more extensive update perhaps next week at the workshop on what's happening there. But certainly the dichotomy or perhaps the large difference between what's happening in Mount Morgan versus what's happening in the barrage is just so striking given the dearth of rainfall around the area. So one is nearly empty and the other one is 100% full again, which is great to see for Rockhampton, but obviously not so good for Mount Morgan. Page 11, looking at the environment theme. Just a couple of key items to touch on there, and again, hopefully you've had the chance to read those. Is the work to establish the South Rockhampton Sewage Treatment Plant's recycled water scheme is progressing very well. So the distribution network is essentially completed for that, and we're in the process now of engaging a contractor to install the pumps and finalise the electrical and mechanical aspects of that work. And then possibly as early as late June, early July, we should commence actual first supply of recycled water to a number of nearby customers. So that's progressing quite well. And the second item there is really just to touch on the solar project, which is proceeding quite well at Glenmore Water Treatment Plant. It's gone through a 30% design stage, and within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we expect to see final design on that installation. With the contractor arriving on site probably within the next month or so to actually commence site works. In other words, clearing and preparing for installation of their various componentry. So that's progressing quite well at this stage. I will touch on the fact that I think in the operational plan targets, at the time at which those targets were being set, probably May, June last year, I think prior to award of that project, we nominally set a completion date for 30th of June this year. That's clearly not going to be met, and you'll see that noted in the operational plan targets report. I won't talk too much more about some of the other significant projects. Peter's covered off on those, but if you turn to page 16, there are a couple of items there that I'd like to point out to you in the local government leader theme. So under the water and supporting a better environment section there, some fairly significant items actually. So as is normally the case each year, the Queensland government, I guess, and via the Queensland Water Directorate, release their urban potable water and sewage benchmarking report, which is essentially a benchmarking report for all water service providers, local government or other, across Queensland. Again, FRW and Council have been shown to have performed very well against their peers, with our typically our strengths are in the low operating costs and value for money performance indicators that are published in these reports. but also increasingly to demonstrate that we're actually hitting the mark with some of the other key asset condition or asset performance indicators, such as water mains breaks per 100 kilometres, and you know, the customer interfaces that we have as well. So I'm actually happy to circulate that report. It's no longer in a PDF form, it's in a PowerPoint presentation form, but I can circulate that to councillors for your interest. And the second item there of note is that, and for some discussion next week, hopefully, as we've continued to work towards finalising the review of the water pricing regime, and we'll be presenting some information about that next week, with a view to hopefully soon reaching some council decision on where to with that. Just moving on to the FRW performance plan, so page 31, if you wish to try and follow on. This is just the manager's overview section of that report, and most of what I really do want to talk about is on that same page. I guess quite positively for Fitzroy River Water, we've performed well again through this quarter with the majority of our 22 customer service standards. There are a number of those that you'll see in our performance plan that are listed as watching, and they tend to be some of those more aspirational KPIs where again we set ourselves some fairly high targets for response and rectification time performance for reactive work. So we've listed those as watching because they are already likely to not reach those fairly, again, aspirational targets for performance. But certainly the majority of the targets are well on track, and we're very pleased with that. But I've listed 5 sort of key highlights there. Drinking water quality has again been of a very high standard with greater than 99% compliance across all of the region. In the final stages of sourcing water from Number 7 Dam in Mount Morgan, we had a very minor exceedance of a health guideline for trihalomethanes, which are a type of molecule that are produced when chlorine reacts with organic carbon. If you drink concentrations of that particular compound for a really long period of time, like a lifetime, it's believed to potentially be harmful. A one-off isolated event is not considered to be harmful, but nonetheless that formed part of the decision making for quickly moving to supply water from Gracemere rather than continuing to deal with those issues. You all know about Mount Morgan water restrictions, and again, you know, the community has done a fantastic job dealing with those constraints, but that's the ongoing challenge for us to continue to manage. During this last quarter, Fitzroy River Water completed some of the construction work to extend parts of the water supply network in Gracemere, and some of you will already see some potential budget allocations for next financial year to continue a small amount of that work. We've collaborated with colleagues in the infrastructure planning section to have nearly finished our asset management plans, which are being reviewed and significantly updated and improved with respect to some of the gaps that used to be in those documents. So we're looking forward to bringing those to the council table in the near future. And I think I've already discussed the South Rockhampton Sewage Treatment Plant Recycled Water Scheme, and suffice to say we have quite a number of very interested customers for that when it's completed. And just on that same page, there's a little table there which is quite a useful summary of our financial performance. At this stage, we're tracking very well in our operational budget. We are seeing expenditure tracking at about 79% of year-to-date, obviously based on a 75% of year-to-date completed, and operational revenue is at about 92%, so it's tracking very well also. With capital, we're a little bit behind, and in relation to some of those delays of some of the larger projects, that's sort of the main cause for a little bit of that. But I would expect that that'll ramp up quite significantly in the coming months. So, councillors, I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
Thanks very much, Jason. Great report. Again, credit to the work that's being undertaken with the Mount Morgan community and working with that community with their water issues at the moment. But I think the water quality with the transport of the water from the reservoirs from Gracemere has resolved most of the complaints that we were receiving. So We'll just have to wait and see how that takes us for the next significant rain event. But in the interim, still continue with the options that what we're working through and provide that back to the community at a point in time when we've done those studies. So thanks again for the work that was undertaken in that public consultation. I think there's still some more tidying up in that area. We need to probably look at it again and make sure that we're informing our community about what we're doing in that area. But overall, the wastewater treatment plants upgrades, that's intergenerational projects there that are going to accommodate the growth of the region for the years to come. But those lumpy bits of infrastructure there that are critical will be something that this council's undertaking in the next coming years. So again, we will bear in mind that it's not the nice shiny new things, that it's the critical things that we need to implement and make sure that our community is steadfast in understanding that these pieces of infrastructure are required for the growth of the region as we go forward. Councillors, any questions to Jason in that? But again, thanks very much for that report, Jason, and credit to the team.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thanks, councillors.
Thank you. So next is our manager for Rockhampton Regional Waste and Recycling to provide the quarterly progress report on the annual performance plan for that business unit.
Councillors, we might try and go through all these reports and then we'll take a recess before we go into the closed session if there's time there. Thank you. Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and councillors. So before I get on to the RRWR report itself, I'll just go through the actions on the bottom of pages 74 and the top of 75 in your pack. So these are the actions specifically for RRWR within the overall report. As you'll see there are 4. I'll just go through them individually very quickly. So we're on track regarding our financial and non-financial performance targets. The implementation of remedial works for the Gracemere landfill, which is that final capping system, that was set to be complete by the 30th of June this year, but we're now looking like that's going to be more like an October-November completion date. So we're not going to hit the original target for that. Lakes Creek Road landfill cell construction, this is cell A1, which is the second of our piggyback cells. Again, that was set for completion on the 31st of October last year. We did hit a few hurdles with materials coming from overseas for that material and some other hurdles, but it's very, very close to complete now, and confident that that one will be complete in June, and we're scheduled to commence waste filling in that cell in July. And then the last one there is around our landfill gas management system at Lakes Creek Road. So that was set for completion in October last year, and that one is completed and operating well, and I'll provide a little bit more detail on that later on. If we now go to the RRWR report, manager's overview. So facilities and collections teams are both going very well, and those operations are going along without issue. Our strategy and education piece of work is very busy at the moment. As council is aware, we're doing a lot of work around a garden organics and garden and food organics trial that we're looking to kick off later this year, and we'll come back to council with more information on that. I've already spoken about Cell A1 construction, landfill gas management. So it is complete, but it's obviously ongoing, and it operates on a 24/7 basis. The quantity of gas that we're extracting is slowly starting to increase, which is good to see. So we're currently at about 290 cubic metres per hour at about 55 to 56% methane. The significance of that is that in our contract that we have with our specialist provider there, when that quantity reaches 350 cubes an hour at 50% methane, that triggers a full business case to go to power generation. So sort of watching that volume very closely, and I think the waste mass in the first cell, Cell A, is still relatively new, and you can see when you look at the gas composition coming from that waste mass that it's starting to turn methanogenic, which will mean that it's starting to produce a bit more methane I would expect in the coming 6 months, which may push us beyond that 350 trigger to get to that business case stage. So that's an exciting piece of work that we're continuing to work on very
Michael,
closely.
I might just take a question from the table.
Yep.
Councillor Wilkinson.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Michael, sorry to interrupt you. You were saying the other day, and there's something on ABC Landline, you were telling me how many times more harmful methane is to as a greenhouse gas than carbon. Was it 40 times or something?
Oh, 27 times.
27 times. Yeah, so just to take that out of that environment is an added benefit, as well as maybe getting some energy from it too.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
There's no way of storing what we're burning, flaring off now?
No.
That currently is flared off now, that generation, out of the...
That's right. That's currently being flared and converted to carbon dioxide, and it is a project also registered with the Clean Energy Regulator, and we will be getting carbon credits for that too. I'd expect, hopefully, the first carbon credits will come through in the first quarter of 2022, I'm hoping, for that project.
Okay. Thanks, Michael.
And the Gracemere, our Gracemere facility, so there's a lot going on out there. We went out to tender for the construction of the final capping system. That tender assessment is now complete, and we're ready to award a contract there. We've just got a few budget challenges which we're trying to resolve so that we can award that contract, and then hoping that they can get started very quickly and have that project finished around October, November. At the same time, now that the capping system design has been completed, we've commenced the design for the transfer station out there. And again, hoping to have that complete within the next sort of 2 to 3 months, so we can go to tender for the construction of that transfer station. For anyone who's been out to that facility, it's a very agricultural sort of, it's not a very impressive facility, and with the growing community we've got in Gracemere, we really need to invest a bit of money on that site and bring it up to the right standard. From a financial performance perspective, tracking pretty well. We're below budget on operating expenses, which is good, and that's a continual focus for the team. Capital budget, we are a little bit behind where we should be tracking. Hoping we'll spend probably some 600 to 700k between now and the end of the financial year, but unfortunately I'm not expecting to hit my 95% target on capital. All non-financial performance targets, these are the weekly collections and missed services and the like, we're on track, and we have been for the 3 quarters for this financial year, so that's really pleasing. And the team over there is really sort of humming along very nicely. And I think with that, I might just leave it at that, and happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Michael. Councillors, questions? Again, it's another area of it very busy, waste and recycling as things move on, and it's an ever-changing space with legislation and requirements too, and the needs of our community. Again, thank you, Michael, to you and your team for the work that's being undertaken. Okay, we'll move on. Thanks, Alyssa.
Thank you. Next is our Manager of Airport to give the update on the annual performance plan for the quarter.
Thank you.
Morning, Mr Mayor and councillors. I thought I'd turn up in person today instead of the WebEx, so to get rid of those issues we had the previous 2 times.
We thought you were in
So here I
Brisbane.
am.
We thought you were in Brisbane for a while there, Marcus, but...
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll start with the manager's overview. I think it's page 46 of the report. So airports showing continual recovery, signs of good recovery throughout the period. I know I continue to say that, but that's a good thing to actually repeat, that the airports continues to recover from the COVID pandemic. Passenger numbers seem to be strong. Airlines seem to be throwing volume at our airport, which is good. That promotes more travel, keeps the prices down, and I guess confidence within not only the regional market here, but confidence within the airline market. So we'll continue to work with those airlines.
moving forward to ensure those schedules and the volume and the seats and the capacity are there for our business travellers and visiting friends and family. And I can't see that changing unless there is another outbreak, say in Brisbane or wherever. But the forward schedules are solid and have been during this quarter. The other activity within the airport during the quarter has been solid as well. The retail and the cafes, obviously with more passengers flowing through. You can see the spend rates going in a positive direction. The car park's showing good returns. And it's good to see the cars actually in there again. Although the short-term car park seems to be a little bit less in favour than the long-term at the moment, and I guess that might be price-driven. People may seem to want to walk a bit further and save a few dollars, but as that long-term fills up, it'll cascade through to the short-term as well. The financial performance, we're a little bit behind with the revenue side, but the budget is loaded to the back end of the financial year, so the more passengers we get, the more revenue. So we'll continue to see those passengers grow, which the operational budget should be neutral at the end of the year. The operational expenses are below budget for now, and the CapEx expenditure is below at the moment as well. We've got a few issues with contractors, trying to get contractors on site with pricing and so on as well. So hopefully we can engage with those guys to get that going again. But overall, the capital works that were completed, the cross runway resealing, which is good, and the apron lighting. So we were non-compliant with the MOS 139, which is what the airports. It's a Bible for the airports, basically. So over the years, it has changed to the lux levels that are required on the apron. So we've upgraded that, and it's actually great now. It's LED lighting. It's nice and white. It's not orange like the old sodium vapor lights that we had. So that's a big improvement. And the airlines and the pilots are actually commented on how nice it looks at the night time when they actually hit the deck and fly in, which is good. I'll go to the non-financial performance. Again, passenger numbers, as I've commented, it's progressing well. Bird strikes, we had a shocker for quarter three. There were 16 bird strikes. It's the environment we live in. So the lagoon at the end, we've got a bat colony which we're working with the gardens to try and rectify, but it's a seasonal thing. There's no real explanation why. It's out of our control. However, we do monitor, we mow the grass at certain levels to maintain, compliance in that area, because if the grass is short, it allows the birds to land near the airstrip, so you keep it a bit longer in their legs and they feel uncomfortable, so they can't land properly. So there's little things that we can do to try and rectify that, but it's out of our control, to be honest. Sorry, Councillor, did you have a question? I saw you reading.
Councillor Wickerson. Councillor Kirkland, sorry.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I mean, the bird strikes is a concern, and I just wanted to ask you, Marcus, if I may, the process for when there's a bird strike, is that tell me what happens as far as the costing, how the airport is impacted with those?
Yeah. So it's a huge cost to the aviation industry, bird strikes. Obviously, if a plane hits a bird, it has to have engineering certification to fly again. So it'll sit there if there's no engineer on site, which Virgin will be having an engineer soon again. But if it's, say, a Qantas flight, they have to fly an engineer up. They have to make sure it's safe to fly, airworthy. So that bird will sit there for the next 2 to 3 hours, or whenever an engineer can get there. So it's a huge cost to the airline. It's the reputation of the airport as well with bird strikes. So no one wants to be known as an airport with lots of bird strikes. It's not what we strive to do, and that's why we have these targets. So the process of when a bird strike, when a pilot radios back to say he thinks he's hit a bird, we do a run of the runway to find if there's a carcass there or not. If there is some kind of carcass, we actually take samples of that, send it away to find out what species it is, and then we track what species are within the area. And I guess there's different methods to rectify or mitigate the risk on what particular birds are around the area.
Thank you, Marcus. If I may, through you, Mr. Chair.
Certainly, Councillor Kirkland.
Just the bird versus bat, is there a breakdown?
There is.
I tread with caution.
Sorry, I don't have that data, and I can take that on notice and get back to you on that. However, the bats are quite high at the moment. Yep.
Thanks very much, Marcus, and apologies, Councillor Kirkland. Just me and mail, I can't do two things at once. I was trying to read an email and then looked up and seen your light on. Sorry about that. My apologies, but thanks very much, Marcus.
Moving on, just with the lost time injuries, that is marked not on track, but we had a few in the first Q1 and Q2. Q3 we're back on. And to assist with lost time injuries within our workplace, we, the toolbox talks, the operational meetings, we pick topics, and particularly the 18-week safety program at the moment. We're cascading that down through the whole team as well, and just reinforcing what we need to do and be aware of throughout the organisation out there. So not that we weren't doing that previously, but we've just made it more of a focus to combat that. And also the hazard inspections, we're on track for Q3, but previously we weren't. Overall, the airport is running very well. It's compliant. We had a Home Affairs inspection earlier, I believe in Q3, or might have been later in Q2. However, the report back was A++, I think they gave us, which is great. And that includes new screening equipment as well, so they actually tested that, and the feedback was very impressive. So overall, the airport compliant, safe, and the team's working well together. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Again, Marcus, pass on thanks to the team. The airport's had a spruce up, and the gardens and everything looks fantastic. Even at night time with the lights on the palms, really does highlight a regional airport of significance in the region, so in the nation. So I think people coming into town during Beefwood have really noticed that. And I was having, again, comments coming through from the public how wonderful the airport's looking at the moment, and that development. Can't wait for that opening. That I think all the councillors are looking very forward to that opening, and something there that we can work on. But all the operational side of it, again, congratulations to the team for the work they're undertaking.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Marcus. Evan, did you have anything you want to add? It was quite a comprehensive overview. There might not be anything left.
Yeah, I don't think I have much more to add to that one, Mr Mayor and councillors, but overall you can hear how busy the organisation is in delivering for the community, so it's wonderful to actually hear all this and take it all in at once instead of hearing bits and pieces. So, yeah, so I've got nothing more to add, Mr Mayor.
It really does highlight how diverse a regional council of our scale is. When we've got our own water service and our own airport, it just adds to the size of this council. I'm sure a lot of the other council will be very envious of us and what we're able to achieve, but it comes back to the staff that operate these departments and how well they all work in delivering for their community. So it's a credit to everyone and the council team for supporting that. So I think it's a great way forward. Councillor Smith, you question?
Just a question. I wasn't quite sure where it sat because the media team were actually driving it. We had some disaster funding, I think it was after the Gracemere fires, for billboards for some of our rural communities. And we did, like a couple of years ago, we did start the project, but we haven't heard any more about it. Just wonder where it's
I'll get Damon. You're online, Damon? That'll catch him off guard.
I don't.
Yeah, here it is.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, the digital billboards project. Yes, our team was involved in obviously the securing of funding and then the identification of relevant sites and scope of works. That project has now moved over into Ross's world in terms of the rollout there in corporate services with Drew Stevenson and his team. I'm happy to give some feedback or some further information to councillors in terms of the exact rollout, although I do believe it will be by the end of this financial year, but I can provide some further information to councillors to confirm that.
Take that question on note, Councillor Smith, and come back with that one. It's not something there, but we'll make sure that information is provided about that funding and what's available there.
Sorry, David.
No, that's okay. Look, councillors, if there's no further questions, can I seek a mover and a second with the officer's recommendation to receive the operational quarterly report for Q3 and that adopt the amendments to the 2020-21 operational outlined in the report? Move Councillor Kirkland, seconded Councillor Latcham. I'll put those in favour. Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thanks very much, councillors. Councillors, moving on. Item 10, notice of motions nil. 11, questions on notice nil. Urgent business questions, councillors? Nothing. Look, we have items to be dealt with in closed session. What we might do is take a recess now for, what do we have asked, till 11:15, and we'll come back and we'll deal with those closed business items after that. So can I have a mover in a second that we'll take a 15-minute break? Councillor Kirkland, seconded Councillor Wickerson. I'll put those in favour. Against? Carried. Thanks very much, councillors.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Okay, thank you. Councillors, we'll resume the meeting and move on to the next items, which will be confidential reports. It'll be item 14.1, a property matter. Could I move in a second that we move into closed session? Move Councillor Wickerson, seconded Councillor Kirkland. I'll put that. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, well, we might, there's two council with declarations in matters on the agenda. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
So we still have the mover and a seconder. Councillor Wickerson and then seconded Councillor Kirkland. Put that again. Those in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you.
That's discussed.
Yep, and now we need a mover and a seconder that we move into closed session. Move Councillor Kirkland, seconded Councillor Latcham. I'll put that. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Turn.
I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be. Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine. Everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line. Ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine. Everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line. Ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming. Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be. Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round.
Okay, and the recommendation, Linda? And the officer's recommendation that the council endorse option 1B as detailed in the report, and that the report be released to the publicly when possible. Seek a mover and a second. I move Councillor Action, seconded Councillor Kirkland. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Thanks, councillors. Councillors, there be no further items on the agenda. I'd like to I'll invite the other councillors in before I close it, just so they know they're not still... Oh. Okay, councillors, everyone's in the room now. And note there be no further business on the agenda. I'll declare the meeting closed and thank everyone for their attendance. Thank you.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line,